What you're about to see is a recording of a live coaching session that Barry Jenkins did, the author of Too Nice for Sales, for private clients inside our 7-figure SisuAgent program. He basically dives in how you can maximize online lead conversion and how he and his team has been able to sell 900 homes a year. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Eetu. I'm the founder and CEO at Meskula. We are changing the way how agents across the US and Canada are acquiring listings and scaling their businesses to 7 figures and beyond with a consistent opportunity flow. I hope you get value out of this. Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay. Yeah. So I got my license over 20 years ago. So I started out right when I was 18 and a lot of ups and downs. 2008, when the market crashed, it pretty much destroyed me financially. And it's because I kind of waited around for things to go back to what I understood normal to be. Instead of a pivot and adapting to the market, I kind of just was like reminiscing on the good old days and waiting for it to come back. And the period of time where I had to, it was probably 2.5 years where I had to work to build my business back up. That's pretty much the time period that I learned the skills I needed to build a successful business. And it's, I would say 80% of the material of the book that I wrote is from those 3 years of just learning from other sales industries, struggling, overcoming, all that good stuff. So in 2011, 2012, I didn't have a team, I didn't have an assistant, but I sold 125 houses that year. You do the math, that's over 10 a month. I was miserable, to be honest with you, because it was just two houses a week. You got to process it, close it. And so that's why I built my team. And so from 2012 to 2016, my team grew to maybe 15 to 20 agents. I phased out of production. And around that time, we were doing 250 sales a year. That was off of Zillow and Realtor.com. Zillow and Realtor.com became very expensive in my market. The average sales price is $300,000. Actually, at that time, it was probably $225,000. And the leads were like $400 or $500 a pop. Everybody was making money except for me. It just didn't work. So I had to transition to learn how to convert leads from other sources like Google ads or Facebook ads. And I don't know what you guys use for your customers, but for most digital marketing firms, they're using Bing or Google or Facebook. And what I found with those leads was that they almost never knew what they wanted. And I had to learn how to talk to people. They would start off the call with, "I'm really not that sure. What do you want? I don't know. I'm waiting a year. I'm saving up. I'll get back to you." And so now, fast forward, last year we had about 70 agents and we did about 800 transactions. We just brought on 30 agents. And so I have no doubt that we'll do above 1,000 transactions this year. I wrote a book called Too Nice for Sales. And I self-published it. It's actually a year old this month, and sold between 10 to 12,000 copies, depending on how you track it. And it's remained on the Amazon bestseller list. And I think it's been popular because there are way more agents that are waiting to be told what to do than there are that are creating opportunities. And so I don't want to hijack and start teaching, but all that to say, lots of success, more failures than successes, but nobody wants to hear about that. But definitely a very vibrant career, and I'm excited to answer any questions I can to help your community.
Yeah, I guess you can teach if you want to. So that's all beauty. I was thinking of first diving into, you kind of already said that, the different stages, and I guess a mindset thing when it comes to approaching for example Facebook leads. And
Sure.
She said that when you start the conversations they were not sure and all that stuff. So could you maybe open up a bit more about the different stages as well that you went over in the book, and basically how you should be approaching the leads, and maybe what are those things that you should not do or say with the leads when you first interacting with them?
If you don't mind turning on the ability to share my screen, I have a slide
100%.
presentation that I've done that I think will help people. I'm a very visual person, and so
I love it.
there's others that are out
How
there.
You should be able to.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So the stages that I bring up in the book are people that are dreaming of a home. And then, the leads, by the time they come from Google or Facebook, they're typically where this red box is. They're not ready to shop yet. Shopping, you need clarity to be able to do that. And so you've got dreaming, and if you call the lead here and you ask them what kind of home they want, they almost always are going to give you some form of, I'm really not sure yet. Okay. What we want to do is we want to talk to the leads that are actually shopping. They've got clarity. So this is an example of a middle of funnel lead. This is an example of a bottom of funnel lead. You can see they're no longer dreaming. They're now shopping. And so they love questions like, when do you move? They love that question. They love, what kind of house do you want? If it's a seller lead, they love, when do you want to move, or when do you want to sell your home, or how much do you want to sell it for? Questions that really involve a lot of clarity. And so I will tell you that everybody in our industry is looking for leads that have a very clear understanding of what their desires are. And so we're disappointed when we call a lead and we say something like, yeah, I'm calling, you asked for some information, I wanted to reach out. And then they say something along the lines of, I'm not really ready. They give you their reason they're not a good lead. I want you guys to know that I'm making most of my money off of that lead. So my team is not made up of closers. They're made up of gatherers, people that normally are used to just having people tell them what they want and they do it. And what I've done is I've helped these people that are what we would call nice agents that normally wouldn't overcome objections. And I've taught them that instead of overcoming objections, I do not like that phrase. I would rather understand objections. So I just got this new water bottle. It's got like the UV lights on it, right? So let's say this is the objection. I call them and say, yes, you asked for some information about your home. And they say, well, thank you, but I'm waiting a year. Okay. For most of you, you're going to say something lame like, can I email you and check in every once in a while? Because you're so focused on not being pushy, and you tell your other agent friends, well, I don't want to be pushy. And that's how we make ourselves feel good. But actually what we've done is we've become of no value to the prospect at that moment. If we just accept their objection without any inquisition at all, there's really no value for them to ever answer the phone ever again. So this is the objection. Instead of overcoming it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them questions like, how did you decide on a year? What factors did you consider when you were saying that you're going to wait a year? So what I'm doing is I'm trying to understand the objection. This doesn't sound profound, but literally it is everything. Because what you're going to find when a prospect says to you they're waiting a year and you ask them a question coming from curiosity, how did you decide you're waiting a year? Overwhelmingly, like 99 out of 100 times, they're going to share ignorance, fear, confusion, misinformation, something that shows you that they really have no plan at all. Once they surface that, once you ask that follow-up question, how did you decide, what, how or what, when they give you the objection, and you surface a need to be involved, at that moment, you get to become their teacher. And inherently in that moment, you become valuable to them. This is why I see some of you, you're calling and you're so consumed with getting the stranger on the other end of the phone. We call them leads, but you're so focused on getting them to like you. Because that's what we do with our sphere of influence. Our sphere of influence knows us already. And by the time they call us, they know we're in real estate and they say, hi, yes, I'd like to sell my home. Can you come over this weekend? And it's very transactional. Yes, I would love to come over this weekend. It's like a waiter or a waitress. Would you like fries with that? Right? It's very, very responsive. I'm pleasing them. The problem is the only way to please a lead that doesn't think they're ready, what would please them in that moment is to get off the phone. And so we're so consumed with getting the approval of the stranger on the other end of the phone that we find ourselves just rushing off. And I would advocate that you're actually being selfish and you're lying to yourself. You are saying to your friends and coworkers, I'm not a pushy salesperson, when really you're so consumed with getting the approval of the stranger on the other end of the phone that you're of no value to them. And I want to challenge your thinking on that, because when they tell you that they're not ready, I'm waiting a year, what you need to do is you need to understand where they're coming from with that so that you can surface an opportunity to help them realize their goals. I'm going to be honest with you. Everyone I know that owns a home cares what their home is worth. Okay. So just checking your home value is the start of the conversation. You have not determined if it's a good lead yet or not, just by getting a home evaluation. What should be done when you get the home evaluation is you should start asking questions that help you to understand, have they figured this out yet? Or are they so overwhelmed that they just want to rush off the phone? So I'm motivated by curiosity and understanding where the prospect is at. And so questions that I'm going to ask to a seller lead, I'm going to talk about the increase in equity that they've enjoyed. Looks like you've increased from the time that you bought it. It was 300,000. Looks like it's gone up 400,000. Congratulations. That sounds really exciting. And then just be quiet. Yeah, I'm not really ready, but that's great. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Perfect. Have you thought about moving in the next 6 to 12 months? There's something psychological that happens when you say 6 to 12 months. It's like somehow they don't feel pressured. I don't really know anybody that plans things 12 months away. Now, I know they're out there. I know there are humans that say, March of 2024, this is what I want to be doing. Okay. But that's not normal. Did you know that 93% of all New Year's resolutions end by January 23rd? Just over 3 weeks. As a culture, we do not plan things ahead. But when they tell you that they're waiting a year, you act like it's fact. And so then you rush off the phone. You dovetail that with the fact that selling your house is incredibly stressful. I don't know about you, but keeping my bedroom clean for 90 days while I try to sell my house isn't necessarily exciting. I've got kids and all that other stuff. So what I like to do with a seller lead is I like to bring up topics that if they respond a certain way, gives me insight into their readiness. So here's an example. We search in our CRM when we get a home evaluation lead and we say, I've got 23 people that are looking for a home in my database in your area. Would you like me to send you a list? I'm sure you're not ready to sell, but is that anything that would interest you? If they say yes to that, that could be a good one, right? I've got a cash investor. You won't make as much, but it's really easy. Would you be open if a cash investor wanted to buy your house? Another easy win. If there's any interest in selling, like you've asked a couple of these questions, because see, if somebody says, no, I don't want to see how many buyers are looking for my home, to me, like there's a chance that might not be someone that's even of the mindset. They're not even curious. They're curious what their home is worth, but they're not curious about market interests. And so if they say yes to either of those questions, what we do is we say, listen, I know you're not ready. And I love talking to homeowners that aren't ready, because there's a lot of things that you should be thinking about early on. And I don't want you to waste money. So what we like to do is we like to set we jokingly call it a punch list shortening appointment. We want to shorten your punch list. You know everything that's wrong with your house, every leaky faucet, every squeaky floor, the little drywall cracks from settlement above the door. And if you're like most homeowners, you're thinking you got to get all that stuff done and it's overwhelming. And I want to look at your house like a buyer, and I don't want you to waste any money fixing things. I had a seller one time, Mr. Homeowner, that spent $30,000 in their crawl space. That's the part underneath the house. It was super nice. You could crawl on your knees. It had vapor barrier plastic, sand under it, lights. It had a dehumidifier. Like we could have lunch under there. And he wanted to sell his home for the same price that had completely renovated all the kitchens and bathrooms with like the latest and the greatest technology. And I said, you know, I got to be honest with you, crawl spaces aren't sexy. Granite countertops at the time, stainless appliances, those are sexy. And I really felt bad for this homeowner because I wish I could have just told him, yeah, let's sell it for a whole bunch. Everybody's going to love the fact that you've got plastic underneath your house. It just doesn't work that way. So I need 15 minutes. I want to walk through your house and I want to look at it. And I'm going to tell you only the things you absolutely need to do. And by the way, there's no charge for this. I like to do this evenings and weekends. Is there a better day for you? If you get inside their home, bring a CMA with you. And most of the time, the home is in better condition than the homeowner thought. And now you've overcame a lot of objections, a lot of concerns with regards to meeting an agent can be scary for people. They think they're going to be pushed into it. You've added tremendous value. You're saving them money. And then, you know, you've got buyers because you've searched your database and you've got a few people looking. And you say, look, if you give me the honor of listing your home, I'm going to contact these people and tell them all about it. If somebody is 6 to 12 months out and you get inside their home and do what I just said, a very large number of homeowners will end up listing their home for you because you've made the process very easy for them. You've decreased the work and the money they need to spend, and you rinse and repeat. Any questions about that, Eddie or anybody else?
Anyone can open a mic and ask questions if you have.
Another type of seller lead that I really enjoy are buyer leads. So if you guys happen to get a buyer lead, the question that crushes about a third of all my buyer leads say yes to this. Are you considering using the equity from the sale of your home as a down payment for your purchase? If you want to see a seller lead light up like a Christmas tree, talk about where they're going next. That is an exciting, see, we as agents, man, we are thrilled to talk to a homeowner about a home evaluation lead. We're like, that makes us happy. That's why we wake up in the morning, right? Like, oh, I got a seller lead. I want listings. When you get them on the phone, if you can say, so whenever you sell, where do you think you're going? What's next? It's called, there's a dopamine hit when we shop for something we enjoy. That's why it's called retail therapy. You know, we've all gotten a new phone or a new computer, and we love to read the reviews of all the accessories. You know, we go on Amazon and we look at all. Some of you are smiling because this is what we do, right? Like maybe there's a vendor or a product we're excited about, and we read about it and we enjoy it. That's called dopamine. Dopamine is a pleasure center for the human. When you talk about where they're going, you're getting them to dream. And you'll find that they'll really open up. So a question that does really, really well when you get a seller lead on the phone and you ask, where are you moving? And they say, well, I'm thinking about upgrading to a 3-bedroom instead of a 2-bedroom. Then you could say, that's amazing. I'm so glad that you're looking at getting more space. Is there anything else you're hoping to change about where you live right now? If you have a pen, write that down. That question is money. Is there anything you're hoping to change about where you live right now? What they're going to do is complain to you about their house. In the process of complaining to you about their house, you are effectively leading them down the path of self-discovery. And people pay therapists a lot of money to do exactly that. Because now what's happening is they couldn't tell you what they want. Man, they sure can tell you what they don't want anymore. And as you talk to them about where they're going, you're going to find that most people are very confused about the process. Now, every real estate market's different. I'll just tell you what works in ours. We tell the clients to list the home for sale and start shopping at the same time. We say, we don't know what's going to happen first. Are you going to, is my data going away? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, I think your voice is, I think you're back. I think you're back now.
I'm going to switch to phone. Hold on.
No worries. And by the way, in the meantime, like if you have any questions, you can drop them in this chat as well. We can go over like later on as well. So
All right, hold on just a second. I'm gonna call in just to
no worries.
decrease the.
Are in the meeting now. There are 11 participants in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded.
All right. There you go. I might be
You-
frozen, but you can hear my voice. There we go. What's the last thing you guys heard?
Sorry, I think now you cut off.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes.
Okay. What's the last thing you heard?
Is there anything you're hoping to change about where you live right now?
Yeah. So this question opens up the path of self-discovery for the homeowner. Because if you would have asked them what kind of house do you want, they would have told you they don't know. But by asking them what they don't want, you are helping them become aware of their needs in a new way. And people pay therapists a lot of money to lead them down the path of self-discovery. So this is a very valuable discussion to them. And you're going to find home evaluation leads, whereas most homeowners tighten up when they talk about selling their home. When you start asking about where they're going, it's a dopamine hit. It's pleasurable to think about what we're going to buy next. That's why it's called retail therapy. We joke around like, oh, I'm gonna have some retail therapy. It's enjoyable. And so getting a seller lead to talk about where they're going next, you'll find they'll open up a lot. And you'll find a lot of confusion that they have. And so we like to tell our agents here to tell the sellers to list their home for sale and shop for a new home at the same time, because we don't know what's going to happen first. You might sell right away. You might find the home you want right away. But there's contingencies that you can put in the contract to protect you. So if you find the home you want, but you haven't sold your home, you can tell the seller in the offer, I want to buy your house, but I got to sell mine first. Please wait a month. It's called a contingency. You can do the opposite. You haven't found where you want to move yet, but you got a really good offer. You could put in the offer that from the buyer and say, I'll take your offer, Mr. Buyer, but I don't want to go under contract until I found something else. Give me 2 weeks. And you can sign everything and put a contingency for 2 weeks to find a home, because they're worried about being homeless. You know, I won't have anywhere to go, and you can contractually protect them from that. And so we like to get them to do both at the same time. And it really excites them about where they're moving. And that typically gives them the urgency that they need to start talking serious about selling their home. Any questions about that?
Patty, you have anything?
No, my biggest thing is just pricing with getting a lot of people in the area I'm at. I'm in a little resort town, and they would love to see their home sell for 2021 prices, or like Telluride, Vail, prices that I don't know. So
Is it a second home market? So you said resort. So is it people that are buying vacation homes?
yes, second homes, vacation homes, retirement homes.
Yeah.
They're a lot of this doesn't, like, where are you going to go? They're going to go back home. They live in California, Minnesota, Michigan, Idaho, Canada. They have 2 homes. So some of this doesn't apply to me, but a lot of it does.
No, I agree with you. I don't think it does apply. If I was dealing with someone that had a second home, I would, my computer just shut off. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I would say is if we sold your house for what I think it's worth, which is, let's say, 500,000, I think you would take home around $200,000. What would you do with that money? Would you invest it in another, retirement home or vacation home, or would you do something else with the money? So you're still getting them to dream, but what you're doing is, see, with resort towns, the urgency is a lot less. I'm trying to log back in on my iPad, guys. I'm sorry about
No worries, we're
about
good.
that.
We can hear you. I'll let you in now.
Yeah, and a lot of them just own them outright. We have a lot of cash players here. So, but I have a lot of problems with people hoping for, most sellers want here, other than I do like if you're interested, if you have a cash investor, you won't make as much, but it's going to be an easy sell and, less headache and all that. So that's a really good way to look at it, because once you bring a lender into it, there's a lot more junk that goes on, and timelines and ways out, and even if you have a home inspection, I mean, you can always have a home inspection, but with the cash person, most of those guys don't want it, especially if it's a fixer upper. They're just going to rip it apart anyway.
Of course, but you can see, so you get looks like my video and my audio are two different. Anyway, you can see where the
You can see where for a lot of people, asking them what they're going to do with their money, like, hey, if you could get 300, 400,000, I know you're not pressed for money, but what is there another purpose? So your vacation home, hopefully you've asked enough questions to where you know how they were using the home. Let's say it's for their 3 kids and grandkids to come over. Okay, you're considering selling it. Maybe the cost has been too much, or you haven't been using it as much. I'd love to hear about how you could take this investment that you made in your family, and with the proceeds, is there something in the back of your mind you would do with that money to meet the same goal? See, the urgency of a second home market is very different. People don't need a vacation home. They don't need to buy they want to, for whatever reason, and that's why they made that jump. And so most of them probably don't need to sell, but they're considering it. And so what you're trying to do is find out, what is it that's motivating their decision? Words like need or should typically don't resonate in a vacation market. But what do you want? What would make you happy with this house? Well, I really wish we would have used it more, but because of these reasons, we never did. And I'm just really kind of tired of dealing with it. I totally get that. Maybe you could do experiences with the money. Maybe you could take your family to other countries. There's all kinds of things. And so this discussion really, what I like about this topic right now is you guys just saw me quickly adapt everything I just said to the human that I'm dealing with. The human that I'm dealing with doesn't need to sell and buy. Their urgency is different. And so I've got to get back to the heart of the matter. Another common question is interest rates. They were so much better a year ago, right? I had an agent in New York. I was in New York yesterday at a conference and I was teaching, and the agent stood up and said, I've got a long list of people that never found what they wanted. They tried, they couldn't find it, and now rates are higher. How do I tell them that it's going to cost more now? And I say, go back to their motivation. If their motivation, and this is an easy one, but if their motivation is they have 3 children and 2 bedrooms, and one of the kids is getting older and they need more space, I could say to them, look, it's going to cost you about $50,000 more to buy a home now. Is $50,000 worth this extra bedroom given your circumstances? For some people it's yes, some people it's no. But now what's happening is I'm not a pushy, manipulative salesperson. I'm quieting the noise. I'm getting back down to what is the reason they're considering this. And so the CMA and the home evaluation should be a springboard to you getting all up in their story. Come from curiosity. Use phrases like, that's interesting, tell me more. That's why I like understanding objections, not overcoming. I'm not trying to push anybody into anything. Those days are over for me. I'm glad that I'm in real estate. I'm not selling a vacuum cleaner or pencils or gadgets. I'm not having to create a need for you to buy my product. They've come to me through digital marketing. They've asked for information. And so that, for some of you, the CMA is like the end. You're like, all right, they want a CMA. Here it is. What do you think? And you're just kind of hoping they'll be like, so amazing. And that's just not real life. It doesn't work that way. The CMA is the topic that gets you in the door so that you can become a resource to them given their circumstances. And notice what I didn't do is I didn't give you like 3 ways to get them to say yes, or like, this is all about you being acting like you care. Even if you don't, I want you to act like you do. And the way that you're going to act like you care is you are going to ask incredible questions. Socrates, Jesus, like all of these amazing teachers throughout the annals of time, all taught through asking questions. It's called the Socratic method of teaching. I thought I invented the Socratic method of sales. Apparently it was a book in the 80s. But this is how the best do it. So yeah, hopefully that gave you some context, Patty, for your resort market. Any other questions? I can keep going, but I just want to give space for everybody to like digest this and make it their own.
Jared, Just Want, Bill, John, Tom, anyone has anything that you like here? I guess we keep going.
Yeah. So, generally speaking, the topic of selling your home is just a very stressful topic. And the CMA does not alleviate that stress. It gives them what they wanted, but this is an incredibly complicated process. And you factor in the fact that it's complicated. It's probably the most money they've ever spent or been involved with. And it's more emotional than other transactions, because a home is where memories are formed. It's where you feel safe during a storm. It's where you have Christmas morning and open up presents. Like, there's just a lot of stuff wrapped up in a home. And so the more you can become involved with their story, the better. So just to rehash, if there's just a couple of things that you took away, before I keep going, I want to make sure that you master what I've said. I want you to ask really good questions that talk about dreaming. What are you hoping, if you could fast forward a year, March of 2024, if we were to look back in time, what's the perfect scenario? Another one would be, what are you hoping to change about where you live right now? Another one would be, are you considering selling the home in the next 6 to 12 months? And if they say yes, are you open to someone buying your home in the next 6 to 12 months? That's an even better way. Are you open to considering buying in the next 6 to 12 months, someone buying it? And then you just dangle out some of your factoids. I have 6 buyers looking in your market. Would you be interested in seeing what they're looking for? I could just put it in a report. If they say yes, they're considering selling in the next 6 to 12 months, say, I'm so glad I'm talking to you before you're ready. I'm so glad. I want to look at your home like a buyer would. And I don't want you fixing anything or doing anything. Don't spend any money until I tell you how a buyer would look at your home. And then once you get in the home, bring the CMA with you. And it's typically a very easy discussion to talk about selling. If you really want to get a homeowner in a non-resort market to light up, ask them, like, you know, where's your next adventure taking you? Are you going to stay local, or are you moving out of the area? And when they give you an answer to that, I want you to listen, and I want you to tell them, like, that sounds like a fantastic story. Tell me more about that. How did you decide on Florida? Tell me more about that. How did you decide to downsize? Tell me more about that. Like, when they're telling you their story, I want you to act interested and act curious and say that this part of your story was intriguing to me. Tell me more about that. How did you do this? When they tell you that they're not ready to talk to you, okay, well, how did you decide that? That's going to blow their minds. They're used to the agents just saying, oh, okay, do you mind if I email you? I'll check in 6 months. It's a complete waste of time. And the last thing I taught you guys is to be more focused on helping these people than you are getting them to like you. Because if you focus on getting them to like you, you become this whole fake friend thing that we do. Like, we talk about really lame, like, everyone knows, like, I don't care where you grocery shop or where your kids go to school or what you do for a living, like, none of those things. And yet I'm talking to you. It's almost like I walked up to a girl at a bar and I'm trying to get her to be interested in me. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, you come here often? Like, I don't have time for my real friends. Why would I want to be fake friends with the realtor on the other end of the phone? It's weird. And that's what we do, because we just want them to like us. And so what I want you guys to do is I want you to ask questions about the real estate process. You're going to get tons of details about their personal life when you do this. When you say, what do you want to change about where you live? And they light up and they're like, I want a yard this time. I got a condo right now. I want to have a fire pit. So this is a moment. I can have an authentic connection now. Authenticity sells more than anything else in our culture right now. When you feel like you're dealing with an authentic human, it resonates because it's refreshing. And so when they say to you, I want a fire pit in a yard, I get to tell them my opinion of that. Now, personally, if they said that, I would tell them, man, I love fire pits. I love sitting on the back, having my kids, making s'mores, letting the dogs run around. Why do you like having a fire pit? That's super personal and super authentic. And so it just gives you an amazing way to connect with people. And with seller leads, it is a little bit different because we want to get to brass tacks. We're like, you owe 200, it's worth 400. That's 200 grand. Would you like me to come over this weekend and do a walkthrough? It's not that we are not the same when you do that. We are not the same. And that's why you don't sell that much. If you do sell a lot using that, keep doing what's working. For me and my 100 agents, that doesn't work. What works is becoming a part of their story and understanding their objections and learning more about what makes them tick and filling in the gaps. See, this is why they don't answer for you anymore. And this is where I'm going to go next. They don't answer your calls because they don't want to be checked on. Did you know that they don't like being checked on? That's what they don't see value in you saying, how's the process coming? You're doing that because you're trying to make a sale. Let's just be honest. You're not there to empower them. You're there to check if they've become a good lead. And so what you do is you make your follow-up with them a value-based follow-up. And they're probably not going to read anything you send. But you could say, hey, I just saw a blog on selling your home. I thought of you. Would you like me to text it or email it? I say text. Okay, good. I'll text it to you after I get off this call. While I've got you, where's your head at with this whole selling your home thing? That hits different. It hits different. It doesn't feel the same. And then you get to say to them, they say, oh yeah, I'm really not really sure yet. I'm still figuring it out. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. What is it you're trying to figure out? Now you're getting somewhere. If you guys just remember what or how and tell me more, literally, If you literally just write that down and start calling leads, you're going to sell more houses, I promise. And if you master everything that I just said, if you become good and proficient at this topic, you will always have plenty. You will always have an abundance of opportunities, because see, everybody else in your market is waiting to be told what to do. They're hoping that their follow-up is something like this. Hi, John, I sent you the CMA last week. I wanted to see if you had any questions. Oh, you do have a question. What's your question? What's the most you could sell your home for? Oh, I think 400,000. Would you like me to come over? Yes, great. And it never works out that way. Like once out of like 100, it works out to where they tell you exactly what they want and exactly, and we're discouraged because we're constantly looking for those people. And look, I hope you have lots of them, okay? But I can't scale my business off of that. I can scale my business off of facts. And the facts are the majority of the leads that I receive aren't going to answer, but out of the ones that do, almost all of them won't know what they need right now. And so instead of looking for the ones that do know what they need, I'm going to build my business off of people that have no idea and think they're not ready for me. They think they need to dot their I's and cross their T's and call a realtor when they're ready. Zillow and Realtor.com actually taught our industry that, by the way. They created demand for a type of lead that knows exactly what they want. And as they've created this demand in our industry, Zillow has, they've ticked up the cost to where now they want referral fees. I'm not even mad at them. I wish I would have thought of it. I'm just saying that the agents that learn to be consultants and guides, those are the ones that are going to maintain and continue to grow their business. And so, yeah, any questions about this so far? I could talk about this all day, but I want to make sure.
Fired up. I'm just like smiling here. This is great. Yeah, this is good. I think one thing I have that could you touch on a bit more, like you kind of said that, but like pipeline, the importance of pipeline and the pipeline management, and kind of like why it's so important to have those people. You said that you can't scale off people who want to transact right now, but like, can you more touch on maybe the importance of the pipeline management and the people who aren't ready yet and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I, in 2016, remember in my journey, I was trying to transition off of Zillow and Realtor.com. I became accidentally a full-time executive with a digital marketing firm. And I've worked there since 2016. And at the time I had a database size of 6,000 people. Now I have a database. So if you were to log into my CRM, I think we're right at 244,000 humans in my market that we run ads to all of them. The ads we run are just for houses, nothing fancy. And what we've done is anyone that responds to any of our ads in any capacity, all we do is we call them and we say, we're cleaning up our system. I got to your name and didn't see if you ever found a home. I figured I would check before I archived your file. If we're calling a person that responded to one of our ads, now when I say responded, I don't mean re-registered. I just mean maybe they came back to our website. What CRM do most of your users use right now? Or is it just all of them use all kinds of different?
Yeah, there's one that we provide, and then there's most clients have also like Follow Up Boss. I think few people have KV Core and all that stuff, right? Yeah.
And what's the name of your CRM that you provide?
We build basically on top of High Level. So
okay, yeah. So
yeah.
High Level, you can sort based off of website activity, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm advocating you do is anybody that's had website activity, especially the ones that you talked to and they said they're like 8 months out and you marked them cold. Those are my favorite ones to do this with. So this cold lead, you read the notes and they're like, they're waiting 2 years to retire, but suddenly they're back on your website saving houses. And you read the notes and there's a temptation to be like, well, I don't want to make John mad. Those are the ones that you say, I was just thinking about you. How's the process been coming? I'm so glad you called. I'm actually retiring early. That actually happens a lot. Their circumstances changed. And so I happen to be doing a temperature check with someone that's acting interested. That's why it works so well. And about a third of all of our conversations with that scenario we set an appointment. Because the National Association of Realtors recently did a study of home buyer activity, and overwhelmingly, like it was almost 100%. I don't remember the exact number, but people that are looking at moving want more pictures of houses. Like it's not even close. That's like what they obsess about. And so they're really keen on investigating where they're going to go next. Now, a resort town is totally different. And I can speak to that in a moment. But in middle America, where people are living in the houses mostly, and it's not second home, using that as the carrot to backdoor into selling is pretty amazing. Out of our buyer leads that are shopping for a home, 11% say they need to sell before they buy. And we changed the second question to one I've already shared with you guys. So 89% of our buyer leads say no, they don't need to sell before they buy. But what I did was that 89% that said no, I asked another question. Are you looking at using the equity from the sale of your home as a down payment? It jumps to 37%. 37% say yes and give us their home address. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because now I've got a seller, but they're a seller that's more excited and more motivated to, because you notice the first question is about selling. The second question is about buying, but I use the question of selling, and that's why it works so well. And so with the website activity, you call, you do a temperature check. The other thing is with your hot and your warm, whatever you categorize those as, don't ever, no more voicemails, no more calls that say touching base or checking in. I'm not going to embarrass anybody and ask them to raise their hand if they use that phrase. They don't like that. That is not a welcomed, that's why they don't answer, and it's why they don't call you back. It's not valuable. Always have a thing for them. A list of homes, a list of buyers, updated market reports, a home that recently sold in your neighborhood that I would love to send to you. That always crushes, because everybody's like, oh, really? What street was it? They're really interested in that. So always have a reason to call outside of checking on them. And what you'll find is when you talk to them and you use the questions that I've already taught you, you're going to surface ignorance, fear, confusion, misinformation, and you dive into that. That is your moment. That's the moment to become valuable. That is the need. The need is not selling the home at that moment. The need for them is they're scared. They don't know what to do next. Their need is not learning about their home value. Their need is they're scared. And you've got to figure that out by asking really good questions. That changes lead nurture. It revolutionizes it. Because now, if you're going to wait for someone to figure it out on their own, they're probably going to take a year. And they're going to make lots of mistakes. But if you actually get involved and you start asking these questions, and let me do an easy one. Well, my HOA won't allow me to sell if I haven't owned the home for a year. Let's just say that's what they said. And you say, okay, that's interesting. If I could find out information around that, would that be something that would help inform your decision making? Yes, that would be super helpful. Great. You check into it. You find out there's a clause that based on certain circumstances, you can move. You call them back and you say, sir, I understand you recently had a death in the family. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. There's a clause in the HOA docs that allow for family changes. Would that help you realize your goals? Oh my gosh, yes. I was going to wait a year because I thought I couldn't. This is amazing. When can you come over? Now, obviously, I'm using an extreme example, but I want to show, I'm using that example to illustrate that when you solve their problems of misinformation, confusion, ignorance, fear, when you solve those problems, you become a valuable part of their journey. And for us, it's a 3-month nurture. Most of our leads that we close. We're not nurturing for 6 to 12 months. Not if they're actually talking to us. We just had one that said they wanted to sell in 10 months. My agent, brand new. She met him at a Waffle House, which I wouldn't have done that, but that's what she decided to do. She sat down with them. They thought they had some concerns financially and they wouldn't be able to buy. She said, maybe you're right. Let's get a professional on the phone. And they did a voice or a speakerphone call with a lender. And the lender empowered them, enlightened them, and showed them that there's a way. If they want to go faster, they could. And this is America. Like when you want to do something, you're ready, willing, and able financially to do it, and you want it, like right or wrong, we're just going to do it. And that's what ends up happening with this. So yeah, that's my spiel there.
Love that. Anyone has any questions that you want to ask from Barry? I guess we have a couple more minutes here, so
Yeah.
Now it's the time.
So if there are no questions, there's something else I want to leave everybody with. It's that successful people value failure. Failure for me is my greatest teacher. Everything valuable in my life. The reason why you guys want me on this call, you know, I want Barry to teach me. The things that I'm teaching you have been born out of an enormous amount of failure. The only reason I'm successful is because I have decided to view failure as the teacher with which I level up. You know, if you're in baseball and you strike out 7 out of 10 times, but 3 out of 10 you get on base, you're an all-star. If you strike out 98 times in real estate with 98 out of 100 leads, but you convert 2 out of 100, for me, that's a 650% return on investment. So for every $1,000 I spend, I make $6,500 to $7,500. I have to fail as a business 98 out of 100 times to make a tremendous amount of money. And so I really want to encourage you guys to look at no's differently. On my sales team huddles, I've started to actually ask who failed the most this week. It's not who got something under contract. Oh my gosh, who's got a win they can share with the group? No, it's who is trying and failing, because I want to point you out, because you're going to be one of the ones that's successful. Did you know the human body muscle is not developed until your muscles fail? And I just lost 30 pounds. So I'm in the gym a lot. And I make this, I think we all do this, but when you're lifting heavy weights, we make this weird face. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, and so I'm in front of this mirror. There's people around. I really don't want to make the ugly face in front of everybody, but I realized I had done 3 sets and my muscles hadn't failed yet. And so I sat in the corner by myself. I'm just being honest. And I isolated one arm at a time. And I got to the 6th rep and I started making the ugly face and my arm couldn't get it up. My muscle failed. And now I've got growth. Some of you just don't fail enough. And so I want to encourage you to just dive in and surround yourself with people that are going to help you to view failure the same way that I have. Because most people, they want to get around the water cooler, even though we really don't even have those anymore. And they want to complain, the market sucks. Interest rates are high, nobody's selling. And misery loves that company. And what I want you to do is I want you to avoid those people and surround yourself with people that are like, you suck this week? Me too, let's crush it. Because you know what? The ones that don't quit, that keep getting up every morning, doing the work, I guarantee you, you will crush it. Go watch that Michael Jordan commercial where he said, you know, people see all my successes and my accolades. And then he lists every missed game-winning shot, every free throw he missed, every three-pointer he missed, every game he lost. And they say they don't realize that I'm a winner because of how often I failed. So go fail your way forward. That's my parting shot, E2.
I mean, that's the best way to end the call, I guess. That was phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad. Hopefully I was able to help somebody.
At least I was excited and I had fun. So,
Well, good.
so yeah, no,
Thank you, Barry.
Oh, my
100%.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Big thanks.
We could
and,
we could go another hour.
Good.
Yeah, and yeah, thanks again for hopping on and sharing the love.
Sure.
This was amazing. And for everyone who hopped on and everyone in the group, have a great weekend. Go fail and
Yes.
let's go after it.
Yep. All right. Have a great day,
Awesome.
everybody. Thanks for having me
Great
on.
day.